Okay.
I know I'm handsome. Thank you for that. Yo, welcome back. Here we are again. Welcome to the 4 Wide Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Shed, Olu, Will, and Matt. We are here yet again, episode 20. Episode dubs, guys. We've been doing it. We've almost gone the whole season. Isn't that crazy? We have an exciting episode for you guys as we recap the conference championships. Great games. And then we'll do a little Super Bowl preview. Splitting it up into 2 episodes today. But it's going to be a great episode. 1 minute of shine. Shed, you're up first, man.
So this is interesting, right? So, okay, that's it. I'm sold. I'm willing to forget the indiscretion of the past, his inability to produce under Jeff Fisher, and I say Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback.
Oh!
With a competent quarterback-focused coach, like a Sean McVay, like a Ben Johnson, Goff can be a really good quarterback. In his 3 playoff games, the wild card divisional conference game, he had 837 yards, 5 touchdowns, and most importantly, he had 0 interceptions. He kept the ball out of harm's way. He was dropping dimes all day, all over the place, and made some key plays. Unfortunately for him and the team, some of the wide receivers just dropped passes at the very inopportune time, and which probably costed them the game.
Josh Reynolds,
and even Jameson Williams. Overall, the Lions organizations need to know that moving forward, they have a top 10 quarterback in Jared Goff.
Okay, so Shed, 2 questions. Is Jared Goff really a top 10 quarterback in the NFL if all the other quarterbacks were still healthy that got injured? Do you still think he's a top 10 quarterback?
No.
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that. Here's my list. Mahomes, no particular order. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Dak, Purdy, Stroud, Love, Hurts, Goff.
Wow.
Whoa.
How low did you push Stroud?
He said no particular
No,
order.
No particular order.
hold on. Did you say Herbert?
No.
No.
I kept Herbert out.
Goff and
Not yet.
Purdy
Because-
above Herbert.
Yes.
Goff and Purdy above Herbert.
Okay.
Because Herbert he has not produced
Anything.
anything. Correct. That's why I took him out. Now, if you want to take out maybe like Love, but I think Love is going to be there, right? Dak, I could take out Dak and throw in Goff, but he's a top 10
Lawrence. You took out. I see there's no Trevor Lawrence, and I will say kudos to that. Trevor Lawrence is not top 10.
No. Trevor Lawrence has been disappointing to where he's supposed to be at.
But yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he regressed significantly this year.
So here's a big question that I have in response to that. I know it's his 1 minute shine, but do you think the Lions won that trade, the Matthew Stafford trade?
No.
No, because the Rams got a Super Bowl out of it.
Rams got a Super Bowl.
Right,
Well,
but the Lions.
Dan Campbell offense.
What's that?
What would Matthew Stafford do in this offense, though? This is probably a better offense than he ever had in Detroit.
But they wouldn't have had all these pieces without the trade. So this offense would not have been possible.
Correct.
Yeah, that's true.
The Lions did not win the trade. However, they didn't lose the trade either. They just didn't benefit from the trade.
I think they did win it because they were not going to win a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. Okay. That ship had sailed. They didn't have the capital to build the team. And this team has now been built in the image of Dan Campbell for 3 years, which is why they just made it further than they have in how many years? When's the last time Detroit made it this far? Like 40 years, 50 years?
I'm not even sure.
Yeah,
this
look
is great.
that up.
This is great, though.
In a while.
Do you guys realize that the Detroit has phenomenal rookies? Obviously, Laporta and Gibbs.
Gosh.
But Branch and Cam. These guys are legit. They're young. They're strong. They're very solid moving forward.
And how about their second-year players? Aiden Hutchinson? Imagine if Jeff Okudah would have worked out. Like they've got firepower. But let's keep it moving. Olu, you're 1 minute to shine, man.
Okay, so my 1 minute of shine is my our guy Brock Purdy, Mister Irrelevant, because this dude has passed the second test. The first test was, can you make the shot, the game-winning shot, when the time calls for it? He did that. Now the second test was, when you're down multiple, double digits, can you come back? Can you muster enough juice to come back? He did just that. He put the game on his back. He put the team on his back. It wasn't the so-called Avengers. It wasn't McCaffrey. It wasn't Ayuk, even though they all played a part. Uh, Brock Purdy was not Happy Hogan in this case. He was Iron Man. He put the whole team on his back, and
Okay.
he used everything. He showed heart. You see that heart, that Iron Man heart with the life force. That's what he showed. Okay, so I think Brock Purdy is absolutely showing us he's making a case for an elite quarterback. The ultimate test will be, obviously, can he finish the job at the Super Bowl? If Brock Purdy finishes the job and wins the Super Bowl, he's automatically top five, top three, top five, top three QB automatically. Absolutely. If he beats Mahomes and wins a Super Bowl, he is a top three quarterback. Here's the reason why.
Hold
He's been
on.
NFC championship 2 years in a row. What other quarterback has done that in this league? If
Patrick
you
Urine.
Mahomes. Patrick
no,
Mahomes.
I mean, other than Patrick Mahomes,
I
Tom.
mean,
then huh?
today,
Huh?
today or ever. Like,
No. In this era, right now. So
so
if here's again, I repeat myself. If Brock Purdy wins a Super Bowl, he is top three in my book. Lamar
because
has
they
not
won a
been in
Super Bowl,
two. If Lamar has not been to two NFC championships, he has not. He has not won a Super Bowl. Hurst has not won a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow has not won a Super Bowl or been to an NFC twice and won a Super Bowl. If Brock Purdy wins a Super Bowl, he is top three.
So
That's
you're
it.
so you're saying that all right. You had us until you said top 3. Just everything else we were tracking with you.
Yeah,
So you're
bro.
saying that the only quarterbacks you would put above Brock Purdy if he wins would be who? Patrick Mahomes and Burrow?
Guess what? He's top three, and I'm not sure he's number three.
Oh my gosh. I'm not even gonna touch that.
Hey,
wait.
I'll let
caveat.
you I'll
You're
let
in
you
your
I'll
book.
let you
No,
live
no.
with that.
Here is my caveat. My caveat is if and only if he wins a Super Bowl. If he wins a Super Bowl, guess what? There would outside of Rodgers, let's take Rodgers aside. Let's take the old Ed aside. In this new era, there will be only two quarterbacks who have Super Bowls. That will be Purdy and Mahomes.
And
It
Matthew
has to come.
Stafford.
No,
And
I
Matt
said the old
Stafford and
Eds
Joe
aside.
Flacco.
I literally just said the old Eds aside in the new era. My point is, guys, if Mahomes was the one that did the comeback from 24/7, the world would have gone crazy. Why are we not going crazy for him? Now we want to blame on Dan Campbell? No, it wasn't Dan Campbell. They did what they needed to do. They came back. We got to start giving this man his props. If he wins the Super Bowl, he would have. So basically, this is his resume. Everybody loves to say, "Oh, Mahomes has been to 4 NFC, yada yada yada." But guess what? If Purdy wins, his resume will read 2 NFC championship and 1 Super Bowl.
No, one
Who
NFC championship.
you said no? He went to two.
Yes,
He
he
went. Who
won
cares about?
one. He won one
That's
of
not.
them.
No, I said he went to two. I
But
did
that's
not
not a
say
resume.
That's
Just
not
going to the.
listed on a resume.
Mahomes went to 4. He didn't win 4. Actually, he did.
Yes, what he
Yeah.
did.
Okay,
I'm not even
Mahomes.
no, this is a 6 minute of shine. I'm not even doing a rebuttal on this
No,
one.
what they say Mahomes went to 6 AFC championship. That's his resume. They say how many championships did he go to? He went to 6. Purdy is gone to 2. Purdy went to 2 in his first 2 years. Mahomes
Olu,
only went in his first 2 years. Even Mahomes never went to 6. Went to 2 in his first 2 years.
okay,
Olu,
let me
yes,
tell you
he
something.
did. Yes, he did.
No,
Olu,
not in
Olu,
his
here's the
first
thing.
2
Here's the thing,
years.
though. When you have won
Yes,
2
Olu, he
Super
did.
Bowls and are playing in your third, AFC Championship appearances are irrelevant. That's like the Lakers hanging up their midseason tournament banner. It's like, who the heck cares about that when you have 20
Okay.
championships for
But
your
guess what?
franchise?
Guess what? I never said Purdy over Mahomes. I never said that ever. Mahomes is the best in his generation.
No, but you're saying his resume will read NFC Championship appearances.
Okay.
Who the heck cares about it a bit?
Don't get distracted in the main point. The main point is this: when Purdy wins a Super Bowl, nobody else's resume will stack up against his era.
They won't. The resume won't stack up, but the stats, Purdy's stats are still not there compared to the other guys.
Purdy.
Purdy,
This is Purdy's first full year as a starter. Of course, his ready, but it does not stack up. And this is his second year in the league. Of course not. But for you in your second year in the league, you've been to 2 NFC and win the Super Bowl in your second. Come on, bro. Stop it, guys. Like, let's stop doing this. What we're doing.
That's what. All right, whoever's phone that is, please, for the love of all that is good, I'm going to give my 1 minute shine. We've been on this for like 8 minutes now. Here's my 1 minute of shine. So I have been a Purdy doubter. Some would say a Purdy hater at different points this year. But after what I've seen the last 2 weeks, I got to give the man respect. It's been incredible how he came back against the Packers and then just the whole second half in the NFC Championship against the Lions. 20 of 31, 267 yards, a touchdown, a pick, QBR of 88.1, and then perhaps most importantly in this game, 48 rushing yards and extremely clutch, smart rushing yards. So Purdy, I give him respect. I give him props. I will still say, can we let this man play 50 career games before we crown him? That's my only thing. Let him play 50, and then we can start to put him in that conversation. That's all I'm saying.
good point. Good point.
No. Wait. Okay.
Olu, you had your 1 minute of shine. That's mine. Let's let Matt talk. Let's let Matt talk.
No. You interrupted my 1 minute shine. So
I
I'm
did
just
not.
return the
I did not.
Olu,
Can I say something? Okay, you know what?
I don't have any control over this. Olu, why don't you say, if you can say yours in like 30 seconds, we're good. Okay? What do you have to say, Olu?
So you cannot say, let this man play 50 games and then we crown him too soon. And in the same breath, we were trying to crown Mahomes. I'm just saying.
That was not in the same breath. Okay, good job, Olu. All right, so oh my gosh, that was not in no same breath. I'm gonna go ahead and go. For my 1 minute of shine, what I want to do is I do want to talk about Patrick Mahomes. Now, I am a Mahomes fan, but if someone were to tell you at the beginning of the season that Patrick Mahomes would be in the Super Bowl again, that would not surprise you. You would probably say, duh, right? Now, the fact that he's in the Super Bowl right now, does that surprise anybody? Probably not. And this man probably had the worst season of his career.
He did.
And he's back in the Super Bowl. He's back in the Super Bowl. The playoffs is all about getting hot at the right time. Kansas City's hot. Kansas City got hot. Patrick Mahomes is hot right now, but we'll get into that in just a minute. We have a great episode for us today. What we're going to do, like I said, we are going to recap. We're going to recap game reactions to the Kansas City Chiefs Baltimore Ravens game, and then we're going to go over to the NFC and recap and have reactions to the Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers. So let's talk about the Chiefs and the Ravens first. Shed, you're up, man.
All right, the Chiefs and the Ravens. So the greatness of Patrick Mahomes was displayed again. Like, this is a great quarterback, making plays when needed, managing the game very, very well, may I add, and not turning the ball over. He had 0 turnovers in these playoffs so far. For a Ravens defense that's number 1 in the league, the coaching staff really had a really good game plan going in, balancing between running and passing the ball. The Chiefs defense are the Ravens defense, except without forcing turnover. The bullies got bullied. And unlike previous years, Mahomes actually has a defense that's helping him. When you have a top 5 defense, you can win a lot of games.
Yep.
So that makes a huge difference. And here's a stat that I saw. It says that in the second half of this season, including the playoffs, right? So from like mid-season up until now, the Chiefs defense is only giving up 4 points in the second half. Only 4 points. This includes allowing 0 points versus the Dolphins in a wild card game, 7 points versus the Bills in the divisional round, and only 3 points against the Ravens in the championship game. If the Chiefs are up by 7 or more going into the second half in the Super Bowl, and the defense continue to play the way that they're playing, it's probably a wrap. So I see the Chiefs doing well. That they had a really good game this past week, and I see them doing better when it comes to next week or 2 weeks from now in the Super Bowl.
Will, why don't you go ahead and say something? I was going to jump in, but go for it, man.
I'll just say this real quick. I don't know if you were going to comment on this too, Matt. How much of that game was the Chiefs' defense shutting down the Ravens? And how much of it was the Ravens just shooting themselves in the foot repeatedly? Penalties, fumble at the goal line, an interception in the end zone, triple coverage on Isaiah Likely. It's like no matter if you do that, the defense could be a bad defense. You throw it into triple coverage, it's a good chance it's going to be picked. Or you dive into the end zone with the ball loose in your hands, it's a good chance someone's going to knock it out.
Yeah, I definitely – there's merit to what you're saying. Olu, what are you going to say,
man? I just forgot. But anyway, I think, okay, to your question, I think that's a really good question because was it a lot of people like us to believe, oh, Patrick Mahomes took over the game, did what he had to do, Do we know, you guys didn't realize Patrick Mahomes did not even make it down past the 50-yard line in the second half. They did not score. They did not score at all. The defense didn't really shut down the Ravens offense in the second half. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot, like you said. What I would give Patrick Mahomes credit for, which is actually a major credit, when he needed to make a shot at the end of the game, and he made one of the best shots thrown into MVS, and he made one of the ridiculous catch. So for me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's greatness. Greatness is when the money on the line, you made the improbable shot, and he did it like it was nothing. So yes, hats off to that. However, I cannot unsee not being able to score in the second half. The Ravens literally could have won this game if Zay Flowers was not making a very tons of boneheaded series, and Lamar not throwing it to quadruple coverage, So yeah,
I think it comes down to this, and what I was going to say is, and this is why I believe the better team won. Baltimore had 3 turnovers. Kansas City had 0. Baltimore had 8 penalties for 95 yards. Baltimore had 3 for 30. Patrick Mahomes did not make any mistakes. Lamar Jackson did. And the penalties and the turnovers were costly. And when you get this deep into the playoffs, you have to know how to win win in every aspect of the game.
Yes.
Yeah. And these guys did not lose. That's what it's come down to. They haven't had a turnover in the entire playoff, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And so I look at what they're doing, and I look at this game, and I think the more disciplined, the better coached, and the better led team won. When it comes down to their, not even advanced statistics, but even just basic statistics, Baltimore was a better team. Baltimore, when it comes to points per game, coming into this game, Baltimore was second in the league with 28.7 points per game. Kansas City was 22.3. They were and Baltimore had a better yards per rush. Baltimore had better yards per pass, and even their defense was better. Their rush yards allowed was better. Their pass yards allowed was better. Their red zone touchdown rate on offense was better, and their opponent red zone touchdown rate was better. Baltimore was better in every single statistical category, yet Kansas City won. How does that happen? I think Kansas City had a better day. But ultimately, they're better coached, they're better led, and Patrick Mahomes has shown at this stage he knows how to get it done. He knows how to win. He knows how to go the next step. I love Lamar. I like him as a player. This season, I think he was incredible. He was incredible. But throwing to Isaiah Likely into triple coverage, like, what's going on here? And I think when it comes to what Kansas City did, the players that we wrote off mid-season, like Travis Kelce, came through in the clutch. 11 catches from 11 targets. Rashee Rice was almost a non-factor the first start of the year. Now he's the number one receiver on that team. I mean, these guys have rolled with the punches. They've developed. They're hot. And I think the better team just came out and won, plain and simple. Shed, what do you think, man?
So you had said something. Turnovers? 3-0, right? Ravens had 3 turnovers. I think he said 2 or 3 turnovers. So
Yeah.
let me tell you a stat that I saw. Chiefs are 9-1 when they either win or tie the turnover battle, and that has proven true all season long. When they win or tie the turnover battles, they're 9-1, and in the last 5 years, they're actually 25-1 when they have 0 turnovers, 0 giveaways. So turnovers are huge, and that plays a huge role. And keep that in mind moving forward for the Super Bowl. If they win or they tie the turnover battle, they're gonna have a good chance of actually winning the game. Oh, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I thought. Sorry, I think Lamar lost the game during the press conference, leading up to the game. He was asked, "What do you think about facing Mahomes?" He said, "I never want to compete against that guy." When I heard that, I was like, "Oh, it's a wrap." Like, you lost already. You lost that battle. You're telling your like, there's a reason why there's sports psychologists. Sports psychologists help you with that type of thinking. When you say, "I don't ever want to compete with the guy," like, you already lost. Nobody talks that way. Like, you can say, "Hey, you know what? I'm looking forward to that matchup." Like, yo, you got the best guy here. I got the best guy here. Let's go. I'm looking forward to it. But instead, he said, "I don't want to compete with that guy."
Yeah, here's another glaring thing. I mean, who Lamar Jackson was during the season and who he was during this game, I think they were two different guys.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson was 20 for 37. 20 for 37. 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Took 4 sacks. During the season, he was the 4th most efficient quarterback at 8 yards per attempt. That's number 4. Adjusted yards per attempt, he was number 3. Air yards per attempt, he was number 6. I mean, he was an efficient quarterback. True completion percentage over the season, 72.2. That was 11th. He just wasn't that same guy. And I don't know if it's what Kansas City did to him. Steve Spagnuolo is an exceptional defensive coordinator.
He is. He is.
He is very good. I heard one of the differences. What's his name? Jones said that one of the big differences this year with their defense is Steve Spagnuolo's wife moved to Kansas City. And so they say he seems like a different guy now that his wife is local and she's there with him. But their defense is taking it up a few notches. Lamar Jackson, I was talking to a Ravens fan, a friend of mine today. He was just disappointed. I think every Ravens fan expected something different.
Steve Spagnuolo, wasn't he the defensive coordinator when the Giants beat the Patriots?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
He was the one when the Giants came out and destroyed
He was.
the 16-0 New England Patriots.
That's huge.
Wait, was he the defensive coordinator when the Bucks beat the Chiefs?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was.
I'm not sure.
He was. No,
Okay.
no, but not for nothing though. He's a phenomenal defensive play caller. I'm not gonna lie. It's almost like he knows every answer to what a team is going to do. Like, it's incredible.
He has an incredible blitz package, and I mean, they got some good players on that defense. They've got some good players on that defense. There's a reason that defense is number 2 in the league. But let's move on. Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Let's talk about Detroit coming to San Francisco. I believe before we even get into it, the city of Detroit was rejoicing.
Yeah.
All of America was rooting for Detroit. It's such a beautiful story how Dan Campbell has galvanized the Detroit Lions and given hope to a fan base that used to show up to games with paper bags over their heads. And now they went into San Francisco to play the best team in the NFC, and they came up short. The game was tragic. I think so many of us thought at one point that the Lions had the game won, but at the end of the day, the better team won 34-31. Who would like to start us off with this one?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead, Olu.
Okay, so when the game first started, we're watching, we're sitting back watching, and all we knew was there was a handoff to number eight, was it number nine, number eight,
Oh,
to
Jameson Williams?
Jameson Williams. He took that ball with a reversal and ran 40 yards for a touchdown. Oh my gosh. I immediately knew the 49ers were in for it. And then the next play was like a trick pass, and they were just Gibbs was running through they were having their way with any which way. So my first question was, what's going on with 49 defense? This is not the same defense. I don't know what's going on. And that's actually scary because they're gonna play the Chiefs and they have if the run game is a problem, Pacheco is going to abuse them. Okay, so yeah, so there was that, and then second half came, second half rolled in. I'm like, all right, what are they going to do? Whatever. I literally said the game's over, so I kind of lost interest a little bit. I was like, this game's over, 24-7. Brock Purdy's not coming back. I don't care what you tell me. Like he's not hitting a game winning shot. The next thing I see, but Purdy is scrambling, running, making throws, doing everything. McCaffrey, like it's almost like they all woke up at the same time. And then he threw a ill-advised throw to to the defender who couldn't catch it, bounced off his face. You caught it and made a touchdown. I was like, "What is going
Yeah,
on?"
well, he got to the 2-yard line.
I mean, okay, it was to the other line. I mean, and then they ran it in. But it was just so impressive. It was such an impressive game, and I think the focus was lost as people were more focused on Dan Campbell losing the game by the 4th-and-1 call. That's what Dan Campbell has done since he's been hired. He goes for it on 4th-and-1, and
He
which
stayed
is
true to himself. Yeah, he stayed true to
it's
himself.
okay because guess what? He could have had it. Like he could
Yeah.
have had it. They just didn't have it, and that's okay. That's okay. But you don't lose or you don't blow a 24-7 lead just because of one mistake. You know what I'm saying? Or because they kicked the field goal or whatever. They played the game and they just didn't win. The better team won. But the way the Niners came back, that has to give them a whole lot of confidence moving forward. So they could be an even more dangerous team than they are. Debo probably, they have dogs all around. It was a great game. It really just showed us that we're getting the two best player in the league. We are getting the two best player in the league, and it's so exciting. We get to see the rematch from 4 years ago. We get to see Shanahan and what's his name, Shanahan and
Reed.
McCaffrey
Oh,
playing
right.
just like their fathers who played together in the Super Bowl. I mean, coach and father and player combo. So it's just a really interesting matchup, and I'm here for it. And guess what? Brock Purdy is not Jimmy G. Like, it's not. He's not Jimmy G. Yes, he's Mr. Relevant, but he's not Jimmy G. But the boy can play. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Will, were you going to say something?
The only thing I'll add to this game, because I gave Purdy his props, and they are well deserved. Obviously, he led that comeback. He was efficient. He scrambled when he needed to. I do want to say something about Dan Campbell. It's really hard to change who you are, especially in the heat of battle. Because all of us, right? Human nature is in the heat of battle, you revert to your true self,
Yeah.
your true color show. It's not going to be the most calm, collected moment where you're thinking through 10 different scenarios. You go with your gut. And that's what he did. And that is what has built this team the last 3 years, is that kind of passion, that kind of boldness, courage to go for it on 4th down, to make the hard play. And the reality is that first 4th down conversion when they were in field goal range, Josh Reynolds dropped it. They would have had it, right? And it was a tough catch. I mean, there was a defender right there. He dropped it. And then the second one, Goff's scrambling, and he just throws it basically to the middle of the field. It's like 7 yards away from Amon-Ra was the closest receiver. But I do think his decisions there, and then the decision when they were on their last drive to cut it to 34-31, and they ran the ball. Okay, they ran the ball with David Montgomery. He got stuffed. They had to burn a timeout, and that was the reason why they were unable to stop the clock when the Niners got it back. If they had kept that timeout and just did 3 passes or 4 pass plays, right? If you're in 4-down territory, they actually could have stopped the clock and had another chance to come back and tie it with a field goal or go for the win. So it's hard to change who you are, but those decisions, I think, did cost them because it was, despite their defense letting the Niners come back, the game was right there. It was within reach. If you could have got 3 points, another 3 points, if you could have saved that time out, it may have been a different outcome. So I do put some of the blame on his decisions in the fourth quarter.
These games.
Go ahead, Shed.
Oh no, I was going to say these games are so close. This again, so we were talking about the Ravens shot themselves in the foot. Well, the same thing can be said about the Lions, right? The Lions were winning this game. They should have actually
absolutely
won this game, right? I mean, there were little things like, even though you're right, even though he went for it on 4th down, Reynolds should have caught that ball, right? I mean, I don't really blame that on him. Reynolds should have caught that ball. Gibbs fumble. So Reynolds catches that ball. The drive continued. Time is wasted. Maybe they get a field goal. Gibbs doesn't fumble. Changes it changes the game. When you're down by 3 scores, it's hard for a team to come back. The only way teams come back is they need help from the other team. And that's what happened, is that they got help. The 49ers took advantage of it, and there you go.
It was a classic tale of 2 halves. If you think about it, the first half, Detroit scored 24 points. San Francisco scored 7. The second half, San Francisco scored 27 points. Detroit scored 7. Like, halftime adjustments are crazy. And we all thought Shanahan was terrible at making halftime adjustments, given the implosion back in Atlanta back in the day. But the player that I want to highlight for Detroit actually isn't Josh Reynolds. The guy who came up short for me, believe it or not, is Jahmyr Gibbs. And the reason why I say it with all due respect, I think the guy's a baller. He exceeded my expectations this year. I think he's a great athlete. I think he's a great player. At 5'9", 199 pounds, I thought he was going to be a little undersized for the position. Coming into this game, David Montgomery had taken the majority of the carries. He had gotten the majority of the touches in the playoffs up to this point. But when you draft a guy in the first round at pick 12, you've got to give him the rock. And Sam Laporta, rookie tight end, balled out. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3rd-year receiver, had a good game. Okay, so these are their playmakers. These are the guys that they've invested in their draft stock. Jamison Williams, draft capital. The guy had 2 touchdowns off 3 touches. 3 touches, 2 touchdowns. What? But then you look at Jahmyr Gibbs' numbers. 12 carries, 45 yards and a touchdown, at 3.8 a carry, and then 3 catches for 11. You ask me, you draft a guy with the draft capital of the 12th pick of the first round, he's got to come up bigger than that. You've got to get him going. You got to give him the ball. I mean, the fact that they gave the ball to David Montgomery 15 times and he was able to get 93 yards. I mean, he was eating that first drive too. He was balling. But I mean, why? Why did they give Jahmyr Gibbs the ball? What was going on? What's happening? I mean, I would think this is where you give the ball to a playmaker like Gibbs. It beats me, man. I think he could have been a difference maker in that game. Oh, not to mention he fumbled the ball once and lost.
Yeah, that fumble was brutal. Oh my gosh, because it was early in their drive, and then the Niners get it in Lions territory, and they get the touchdown. One thing I did notice, and the commentators were onto this about the 49ers, is even when they're down, they stay committed to the run game. And even when it's not working, like they were getting 2 yards a carry, 3-yard carries, right? Like the whole first half, it just was not working. And they stay committed, and then little by little, it starts to open up, and we started to see that, right? You wear down the defensive line, you wear down the defense as a whole. So they stay committed, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the Super Bowl. If the Chiefs are able to stifle the run early on, the Chiefs defense, will the Niners stay committed? Will Shanahan stay poised? Or is he going to panic a little bit, which was his MO until these playoffs, right? That he kind of panics and freezes up, but he's starting to break that reputation now.
Yeah, what do you want to say, Olu?
Oh, okay. I mean, just like to say, it's really hard not to stay committed to the run if you have McCaffrey in your team. It's like that goes without saying. You can't. I mean, what is he gonna do? Throw the ball when you have McCaffrey? Even if you throw the ball, you probably throwing the ball to him. So now if you get credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, McCaffrey had a good game. 4.5 a carry. He got the ball 20 times. 20 carries, but then he also had 4 catches. So he had a total of 132 yards. That's a great game. And he had 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's an exceptional game. They stayed true to their identity. I mean, I do think at the end of the day, yeah, the better team won. I think a lot of that credit, like Shed says, goes to the Detroit Lions making some big mistakes, shooting themselves in the foot. But I mean, I think we doubted Debo was even going to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy had 8 catches for 89 yards. Ayuk is going to get a contract. He's going to get a contract. He was 3 for 68 and a touchdown. Kyle Juszczyk, hello. Even the fullback, one of the only teams in the league with a fullback on the roster still. I mean, they're playing good football. I think they have the best linebackers in the NFL. San Francisco's a good team, well-rounded. And hey, I will too give Brock Purdy his credit. Okay, I will give him his respect. But what's so wild is when it comes to that offense, he is the weakest part of that offense. He's a good quarterback.
49ers fans are going to kill you for this.
No, if you think about it, their receiver core is good. Their running back room is good. Their offensive line is good. Their tight end is good.
Actually, their offensive line is not that good as a whole. It's Trent Williams. Trent Williams is elite. The other 4 are average or a little below.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to say Brock Purdy was the weakest part of the team. I don't think that's true any longer. Because in this, especially in the last 2 games, in this game, he put the team on his back in the second half. We can all agree to that.
You can't lead a comeback unless you're a solid quarterback. Only above average quarterbacks can lead a comeback like that. Only above average quarterbacks. I'm not saying the guy's bad. I think he's a good quarterback. I just think he's surrounded by guys that are better than him. That's all I'm saying. He gets a lot of help.
I used to think that. I don't know if I agree with that any longer. Because I think if you put anybody on that team, I don't think they lead that comeback. So that's why I'm like, yeah, is he really though? Like, I don't know. I just don't believe that any longer. From what I've seen, especially in this offseason, I just don't believe so basically we could just say they don't have a weakness on offense. That's probably a better way to say it.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's very fair. I can live with that statement.